Neri held her scanner tight as she walked deeper into the dark cave. Her blue skin glowed faintly in the darkness. The Earth exploration permit had cost her team a lot of money. But if she could get samples of the special crystals her scans had found, it would be worth it. Neri was an alien scientist who studied rocks and caves. She came from a planet called Halcyon Prime, where gravity was much weaker than Earth's. She had been to many planets, but Earth was special. Its rocks told stories that no other planet could tell. "This place is amazing," Neri said to herself, touching the rough cave wall. Her four-fingered hand traced the lines in the stone. Her scanner beeped, showing that the special crystals were just ahead. The cave got narrower as she went deeper. Neri had to turn sideways to squeeze through some spots. Her bag of tools and samples hung from her shoulder, hitting the walls as she moved. "Just a little farther," she told herself, checking her scanner again. The crystals were close now. They gave off a strange energy that Neri's people had never seen before. If she could study them, it might change how her people understood the universe. The air in the cave was cool and damp. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness. Neri's headlamp cast long shadows that danced on the walls as she moved. The tight space didn't bother her. On her world, tight spaces meant safety from the large predators that roamed the open plains. There, Neri spotted a faint purple glow ahead. The crystals. They grew from the cave ceiling like frozen rain, each one perfect and untouched. Neri's large eyes widened with excitement. She moved faster, eager to collect her samples. In her rush, she didn't notice how the cave floor changed under her feet. It sloped downward and became smooth, polished by centuries of underground water. Her foot slipped. "No!" Neri cried out as she lost her balance. She reached for the wall but missed. Her bag swung forward, throwing her off balance even more. She fell and started sliding down a steep, slippery slope she hadn't seen in the darkness. Neri tumbled and slid for what felt like forever. Her scanner flew from her hand, clattering away into the darkness. She tried to stop herself, but the stone was too smooth. Finally, she hit bottom with a thud that knocked the air from her lungs. When Neri could breathe again, she assessed her situation. She was in a small chamber with a hole in the floor. Her legs had gone straight into this hole. She tried to pull herself out, but couldn't. The hole was just wide enough for her lower body, but too narrow for her hips to pass through. She was stuck. "Stay calm," Neri told herself, though her hearts were beating fast. "Think like a scientist." She tried pushing up with her legs, but they dangled in empty space below. She tried pulling with her arms, but there was nothing to grab onto. The smooth stone gave no handholds. The more she struggled, the more firmly stuck she became. "Team base, this is Neri," she said into her wrist communicator. "I need help. I'm stuck in a cave shaft." The communicator just made static noise. The thick rock all around her blocked the signal. Neri looked at her time device. Her team wouldn't worry about her for at least 6 more hours. By then, her situation could be much worse. The hole might be slowly widening. She might slip deeper, to where she couldn't breathe. Hours passed. Neri tried everything she could think of to free herself. She even took off her equipment belt to make herself smaller, but it didn't help. Her lower body remained firmly trapped in the narrow hole. "Help," she called, though she knew it was useless. No one would hear her this deep underground. "Is anyone there?" To her shock, she heard something in response. At first, she thought it was just water dripping or her own voice echoing. But then she heard it clearly. Footsteps. Someone was in the cave with her. "Hello," Neri called again, hope rising in her chest. "I'm stuck. Can you help me?" The footsteps stopped, then changed direction. They were coming toward her now. A light appeared in one of the tunnels leading to her chamber. "Hello," a deep voice called back. It was a human voice. "Where are you?" "Here. I'm down here," Neri called, waving her four-fingered hands above her head. The light grew brighter. Neri could see a human figure moving carefully toward her. Humans were still new to the galactic community. Neri had seen them before, but never worked closely with one. They were stronger than her people, with thicker bones and muscles built for a high-gravity world. The human stopped at the edge of the chamber and pointed his light directly at Neri. She blinked, her large eyes sensitive to the sudden brightness. "Well, that's not something you see every day," the human said, his voice calm despite finding an alien stuck in a hole. "Please help," Neri said. Her translator device on her neck converted her clicks and whistles into human speech. "I've been stuck for hours." The human made his way carefully into the chamber. He was tall, with broad shoulders and dark hair. He wore a cave explorer's outfit with many pockets and a helmet with a light on it. "I'm Jin," he said, crouching down to look at how Neri was stuck. "I'm a geologist. I study caves and rocks." "I'm Neri," she replied. "I'm a xenogeologist from Halcyon Prime. I study rocks too, but on different planets." Jin nodded, not seeming surprised. Earth had been getting more alien visitors lately. "What brought you to this particular cave?" "It's not on the tourist maps." "Crystals," Neri explained. "My scans showed unusual crystal formations here. They give off energy that we've never recorded before." Jin smiled. "The purple ones. We call them Earth's tears. They're rare, only found in a few deep caves." He moved around Neri, checking how she was stuck from different angles. "You're in a tight spot. This is what we call a squeeze hole. Cavers sometimes get stuck in them too. Can you help me get out?" Neri asked. Her legs had gone numb hours ago. Jin looked thoughtful. "Yes, but it won't be easy or quick. These holes can be tricky. If we're not careful, you could slip in deeper." Neri felt a chill at his words. That was exactly what she had feared. Jin set down his backpack and took out several tools. "Lucky for you, I always carry rescue gear. Never know when you'll need it in these caves." "Thank you," Neri said, relief flooding through her. "My team won't look for me for hours still." "How long have you been stuck?" Jin asked, preparing some equipment. "About 4 hours," Neri admitted. Jin whistled. "And you didn't panic. Impressive. Most people would be screaming their heads off by now." "Panicking wastes energy," Neri said simply. "But I am very glad you found me." Jin nodded. "Let's get you out of this hole. Then maybe you can tell me more about why these crystals interest you so much. I've been studying them for years myself." Neri looked at the human with new interest. Perhaps this wasn't just a rescue. Perhaps it was the beginning of something more important. A sharing of knowledge across the stars. Jin opened his large backpack and took out his rescue tools. He had explored caves for 15 years. He knew the dangers well. He always carried what he needed to help someone in trouble. "First, I need to understand how you're stuck," Jin said. He moved his light to see better. "Don't move too much. You might slip deeper into the hole." Neri stayed very still. Her blue skin had turned paler. Jin guessed this meant she was scared or in pain. "How deep do you think the hole goes?" Jin asked, shining his light down around Neri's body. "I can't feel the bottom with my feet," Neri said. "It might be very deep." Jin nodded. This was serious. If the hole went far down, Neri could fall if they weren't careful. He needed to work slowly and safely. "I'm going to put this harness around your upper body," Jin said, pulling a strong strap system from his pack. "It will keep you from falling deeper while I work." Neri watched as Jin carefully put the harness around her shoulders and chest. His hands were gentle but sure. He had clearly done this before. "Are all humans so prepared for emergencies?" Neri asked, as Jin tightened the straps. Jin smiled. "Not all. But cave explorers learn to be ready for anything. Caves can be dangerous. On my planet, we have few caves," Neri explained. "Our land is mostly flat. We live in open spaces with many lakes." "That sounds nice," Jin said. He finished securing the harness and connected it to a rope. He tied the other end to a solid rock nearby. Now you won't fall deeper. Next, Jin took out a small machine. It looked like a metal box with a handle on top. This is a hydraulic jack, he explained. It can lift heavy things or push things apart. I'll use it to make the hole a bit wider around your hips. Jin carefully placed the jack next to Neri. He used small rocks and cloth to position it just right. This will feel strange, Jin warned. Tell me if it hurts too much. Jin started to pump the handle on the jack. The machine expanded slowly, pushing against the rock wall. Neri felt pressure on her right hip. Are you okay? Jin asked, watching her face carefully. Yes, Neri said, though it was uncomfortable. Please continue. Jin worked slowly. Pump, check. Adjust. Pump, check. Adjust. He added padding where the rock pressed against Neri to protect her. You're very patient, Jin said after 20 minutes of work. That's good. Rescue takes time. I'm a scientist, Neri replied. Patience is part of my job. Jin smiled again. Mine too. What kind of rocks do you study on other planets? Neri's large eyes lit up at the question. Even in her difficult situation, she loved talking about her work. I look for patterns in how rocks form on different worlds, she explained. Each planet tells a story through its stones. Earth has the most interesting story I've ever seen. Why is that? Jin asked. He kept working while they talked, but the conversation helped Neri forget her discomfort. Your planet has so many different kinds of rocks, Neri said with excitement. Most planets we study have simple patterns, but Earth has incredible variety. Your oceans, plants, and animals have all shaped your rocks in ways we've never seen before. Jin nodded. Earth's geology is complex. That's why I love it too. As they talked about science, Jin kept working on freeing Neri. He moved the jack to different positions, slowly creating more space around her trapped body. He cleared small rocks and dirt that were pressing against her. After an hour, Neri felt the pressure ease a little. She could move her hips slightly now. I think it's working, she said hopefully. Yes, but we still have more to do, Jin replied. Your translator device. How does it work? It changes your sounds into my language perfectly. Neri touched the small device on her neck. It reads brain patterns and sound waves, then converts them. Your words come to me in my language, and mine go to you in yours. Amazing technology, Jin said. Much better than our translation programs. We can share this technology with humans someday, Neri said. Our worlds are just beginning to work together. Another hour passed as Jin worked carefully to free Neri. The talking helped them both stay calm. Jin learned about Neri's home planet with its 3 small moons and beautiful ring system. Neri learned about Earth's many countries and cultures. I think we're almost there, Jin finally said. I'm going to try something different now. Jin took a bottle from his pack and poured a slippery liquid around where Neri was stuck. This is a special oil, he explained. It might help you slide out easier. Jin then positioned himself to help pull Neri up. He held the rope connected to her harness in one hand and wrapped his other arm around her upper body. When I count to 3, I'm going to pull up, Jin said. You try to push with your legs if you can. Ready? Neri nodded, her face showing both fear and hope. 1, 2, 3. Jin pulled with all his strength. Neri pushed and wiggled. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sudden pop, Neri felt herself coming free. Jin fell backward, and Neri came with him, finally free from the narrow hole. They lay on the cave floor, both breathing hard from the effort. Neri's legs hurt from being trapped for so long, but they didn't seem broken. Thank you, Neri said when she could speak again. Her voice was full of feeling. You saved my life. Jin sat up and shined his light into the hole where Neri had been trapped. It went down very far, disappearing into darkness. You're lucky I was mapping this section today, Jin said. No one comes to this part of the cave system usually. Neri tried to stand, but her legs were weak. Jin helped her up, letting her lean on his shoulder for support. "Can you walk?" he asked with concern. "I think so, with help," Neri said. "My legs need time to work properly again." Jin nodded. "We'll go slow. My camp is about 1 hour from here, if we move carefully. I have better communication equipment there. We can call your team." Neri looked at Jin with gratitude. Humans are known for helping others in our galactic reports, but experiencing it myself is different. You risked yourself for someone not even from your world. Jin shrugged. "That's what people should do. Help each other. It doesn't matter where you're from." As they started the slow journey through the cave, Neri thought about how this human's simple kindness had saved her. Perhaps there was much more her people could learn from humans than just Earth's interesting rocks. The rescue was painstaking work. For nearly 2 hours, Jin alternated between clearing debris, carefully operating the hydraulic jack, and offering reassurance to Neri, whose discomfort was becoming increasingly evident. "Tell me about your work," Jin suggested, hoping conversation might distract her from the pain. "What's so special about Earth's geology to your people?" Despite her situation, Neri's eyes lit up at the question. "Earth is unique in our surveyed sector. Your planet should not, by our understanding, have developed such diverse mineral compositions. There's evidence of geological processes we've never observed elsewhere." "You mean like plate tectonics?" Jin asked, making a minor adjustment to the jack. "That's part of it." Neri winced as the pressure shifted, but also the interaction between biological and geological systems over billions of years. Your planet's history is written in its rocks in a way we've never seen before. Jin found himself drawn into the conversation, occasionally forgetting the urgency of their situation as they exchanged theories and observations. They discovered many surprising parallels between their scientific methodologies, despite their vastly different evolutionary paths. "Almost there," Jin said eventually, noticing that Neri had gained a few centimeters of mobility. "On my signal, I want you to pull yourself up with your arms while I provide counter-pressure from below." Neri nodded, bracing her four-fingered hands against the rock surface. "Now." With a final coordinated effort, Neri slid free of the crevice, tumbling forward onto the cave floor beside Jin. For a moment, they both lay there, catching their breath in the darkness, the only sound the distant dripping of water echoing through the cavern. "Thank you," Neri said finally, her translator struggling to convey the depth of emotion in her native language. "I would have died there if you hadn't found me." Jin helped her to her feet, noting how her slender body moved with an otherworldly grace even after such an ordeal. Anyone would have done the same. Neri's head tilted in a gesture Jin had come to recognize as disagreement. "No, many species would not risk themselves for an unknown alien. Your humanity is remarkable." The journey back to the surface was slow. Neri's legs, though unbroken, were bruised and weak from being compressed for so long. Jin supported her through the narrower passages, his strong human frame providing stability where her lighter alien physiology struggled against Earth's gravity. "My research team will be worried," Neri said as they approached the cave entrance, daylight visible as a bright spot in the distance. "We can contact them from my vehicle," Jin assured her. "I have a proper communications array." When they finally emerged into the afternoon sunlight, Neri's skin shimmered with iridescent patterns that hadn't been visible in the darkness of the cave. Jin tried not to stare, but the effect was mesmerizing. "It's a stress response," Neri explained, noticing his fascination. "It will fade as I calm down." After contacting Neri's team and arranging a meeting point, they sat on the hood of Jin's rugged field vehicle, sharing water and emergency rations. "You know," Jin said thoughtfully, "if you're interested in Earth's unique geological formations, I could show you some sites that aren't on the standard research permits, places that even most humans don't know about." Neri's large eyes widened. "You would share such knowledge with me?" Our species have only had diplomatic relations for 11 Earth years. Jin shrugged. Science shouldn't have borders or planetary boundaries. Besides, I'd be interested to hear more about Halcyon Prime's shallow seas. They sound similar to some ancient Earth environments I've studied. As Neri's team approached in their hovering research vehicle, she turned to Jin one last time. This may be presumptuous, but would you consider a formal research partnership? Such collaboration between our species is rare, but after today's experience, I believe it would be valuable. Jin smiled, extending his hand in the human gesture of agreement. After a moment's hesitation, Neri placed her four-fingered blue hand in his. To new horizons, Jin said, and to tight spots that bring distant worlds together. Neri added with the musical trilling sound that Jin now recognized as her species' version of laughter. As the alien research team landed nearby, Jin couldn't help but feel that something significant had just transpired. Not just a rescue, but perhaps the beginning of a deeper understanding between two worlds that had only begun to discover each other.